back to even. And you're back on another edition of this fine podcast. Welcome to Monday, August 10th, 2026. Appreciate everybody being here this week. We've got a banger of an episode as we continue our march down to the beginning of college football and what is obviously our favorite time of year on this podcast. We just love talking football. It's a fun thing to talk about. It is the ultimate, hey, let's jump on a mic and talk about something that only happens once a week and discuss and debate forever and ever. This week we're breaking down the SEC, jumping into Vikings training camp, and some other random news that happens throughout the week. So, we got a fun show in store for you. What do you say we get the ship a sailing? You know who I am.
My name is Jeff.
Joined as always by the one and only.
Hey, Ben. Hey, Ben. 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 Hey, Ben. Oh, Ben. 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 Ben.
Cheers, Benito. What's happening, brother?
Cheers, Jeffrey. Living, dude. Thunderstorm outside.
Whoop.
That's cool. We're here. We're back. SEC preview day. Excited to be here.
Whoop, whoop. Just means more.
Yeah, to some it does. We're both wearing our SEC affiliation tonight. You have on your Vols hat. I have on I can actually say my LSU Tigers.
Hey, let's go.
See, that's weird. That's wild. Yeah, dude. Living the dream. How are you?
Doing well, man. We had a pretty chill weekend just because I was wrapped up in travel baseball tryout stuff all weekend. So, actually, it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then team selection shit Saturday. So, the rest of Saturday and today was pretty low key. It's pretty nice. Pretty nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
Weather is perfect. It's like 80, 82.
That is beautiful.
Real nice, Clark.
Good
Real
for
nice.
you, dude. Good for you.
Yeah.
Sounds like a hell of a weekend.
It was good because it was needed.
Yeah.
That being said, dude, I don't know about you. I feel like I have blinked and this summer is almost over.
No, it's gone. For sure. Don and I did a little staycation this weekend.
Oh.
It's actually really, really nice. Got to the hotel Friday night after practice. Put our phones on Do Not Disturb. Set them in the corner. And binged 2 Netflix shows. One Friday night, one Saturday night.
Let's go.
Slept in. Went to the pool all day Saturday. Room service. Like the whole shebang. Dude, it was very relaxing. So I feel you on the weekend reset. And both of us were in the very similar camp of cannot believe that summer's over.
Do you look forward to summer being over in Arizona?
I mean,
Currently, it's hell there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I look forward to summer being over always, right? Because of the thing we're talking about today, football. That's what that means to me. So I look forward to summer finally being over, yes. But in the state of Arizona, yes, as well. I think everybody gets to a point where they're like, you know what? I could do without the 110s. I could do without the 115s. We got a nice little week running at us. 102 tomorrow, 98 next Saturday, and we get back up to 102. I mean, it's been pretty mild. What'd they say? The mildest month of July in, I don't know, X amount of years. Make it up. 20 years.
Perfect.
But the warmest ever 24-hour period in the history of apparently measuring temperatures in Phoenix. That day where we didn't get below 100 overnight. So that's pretty cool. Doesn't make a lot of sense. No warming on our global, I guess. Just a cooling and some heating. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know if, because like we love summer. We don't want it to end because it signals the start of the slow death march towards a really bad winter, right? Like that's what we all look forward to, right? So we cherish our summers. Obviously, as an adult, it's not summer like you're a kid, but I think up here, summer is definitely a season that everybody does not want to end because of what's coming. But I don't know. As I was saying it out loud, I'm like, that's got to be a different vibe down there.
Yeah, it is. I do miss fall sometimes, like a real fall. Sometimes a lot in my brain, probably more than anything. It's not like obviously, my falls were obviously always consumed with football, so it's not like there was a lot of like activity outside of fall. But there's just
You weren't going apple picking?
no, actually never have. Let's see. Nope, I haven't done that. They're just like a weird, just that I can feel that crispness of, when the high is like 65 on a Saturday afternoon, the first time. And, you got that harvest orange, at least in my memory, to like everything, that sunset that it's like, there's corn dust in the air. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a weird connected memory of time that might not even exist. I don't know. It's probably blurred to like the best of fall.
Always.
In my brain. But not having one for, 5+ years now. Kind of wild.
Yeah. No. So, but it cools down a little bit for you. But you're absolutely right. I have like core memories. When we used to live at 915, we had this, I'd call it like a 2-season porch at best. Thing was, those windows were like a piece of paper. This is back when you had tube TVs. We had a TV out there. I remember sitting on a couch like in fleeces and like under a blanket and just watching football and taking a nap on that couch, watching the traffic stream by. But it was cool out there, and I was just like bundled up, and like leaves are falling behind the TV as I'm looking out the porch. It was just like, yeah, I'm like 15. I was like, this is heaven. I don't know what, like, I don't know. I was like, this is perfect. Like, I couldn't imagine a better sit on the couch, not have to move weather scene. I could take like, hey, let's get rid of the Fairmont Mall and put a lake back there, but the weather was perfect.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
That's what I think of fall.
Right. Yeah, everybody's got that one, like, I don't know, dude. It's just like such a crisp, there's a smell to fall in the Midwest. There is just a feeling, and I think like you're right, like you're plummeting towards what feels like death.
Yeah, it's a long winter. It's going to take 4 months to get through. But like fall again, like it's perfect bonfire weather, right? It's like in the 40s and 50s at night, so that fire, like having that thing warm is like it's awesome. But when it's cold, it drops, like it's coming, so you enjoy it. I don't know. Anyways,
yeah, I think it's always there because fall, mostly in my life, is always associated with like, a new start, obviously, right? Like a new season every year for myself, growing up, it's a new school year, all those things. So it is a weirdly perfect time. I would bet that fall probably ranks number 2 on most people's lists. I bet it would be summer, fall, spring, winter.
This is a fun question. So I heard this discussed
Oh,
on a podcast, or no, on a radio show. Sorry. It's like a website that just does a lot of like top tens.
okay.
And so it was like months. Rank your favorite months, right? Top 10 best months of the year. So I'm just, and this is like, obviously like globally. And it's just a website where people can vote on it. So it's,
Yeah.
I don't know how many people were voted or how many people voted, but this is the feedback. So anyways, what would you think would be like the top 5 months?
Top 5 months. And this is globally.
Whoever wants to vote on it can. So
If I had to give you my top 5, well, but not even my top 5, but I think like the people's top 5, I'm going to say that it is any combination. I don't want to, right? I'm just going to give you any combination. Did you happen to hear that thunder? Pretty incredible. Any combination of these 5 for the world. I would say July. I feel like October, November, December are in there, and then May.
July, October, November, December.
May.
Okay. All right. So it's in order. You were close. You missed one.
Damn.
In order, December.
Okay, yeah, I figured Christmas, right? Everybody loves Christmas.
Everybody loves that. Everybody loves the birth of Christ and getting presents.
Yep. Hard to not to.
Number 2, July.
Yep. Best holiday of the year. Best weather.
Well, and that's where I'm thinking like this is probably predominantly voted on by Americans.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
If that's number 2.
Yeah.
Number 3 is June. Tracks summer. 4, October. Everybody loves apple picking.
Yeah.
Changing of the leaves. And number 5 is May. It's the start of summer.
Yeah.
Nobody likes August.
No. So yeah, I figured November'd be in there just because.
November 6th.
So I mean, really, that was pretty solid guess. June kind of threw me off. I would not put June in there. July definitely. I thought about June, July, but yeah, I'll take 5 of the top 6. That's fine. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty much the smartest person alive. No big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, bud. Let's see. What was the left out? Got all the way down. We've got.
What months were left out?
Yeah, we went to 6 was November. 7 was August. 8 was April. 9 was January. And 10 was March.
So February
And September.
Dang, dude. Wake me up when September ends. That's tough, dude.
Yeah, rough. September got the 12th lowest votes. Nobody liked September.
I mean, there's
The end of summer.
It
right?
is the end of summer.
Gotta go
All
back to
the
school.
beginning of fall. Like September is exciting for us. I mean, like that's like full fledged, like all weekend. Football's on. We're talking gambling. We're texting. The boys will probably be back to the group chat by then. I would assume. Maybe we'll talk to each other. I don't even know if we're friends anymore. I have no idea what's going on.
The hell is going on?
Just also exciting, dude. Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised. Like, if you're just like, hey, you can't have anything to do with sports. I'm not ranking September high then either.
Right. Agreed.
So,
It's usually back to school.
and 9/11. So,
Yeah, big.
thumbs down there.
Yeah. Anyways, it was a fun little.
Yeah. Welcome to the show. Welcome to everybody. Looking at us, listening to us, whatever you're doing nowadays. Thanks for riding through some technical difficulties.
Nobody said anything.
No one said anything. No one said anything. Did you leave it unedited also on the audio?
Yeah, I don't touch that.
Okay, so that's cool. Yeah, that's sweet.
We'll edit that when we get a full-time producer.
For sure. Yeah. Like I put the video up and I was like, we had some technical difficulties. I was telling Ton, she's like, we could just cut that out. I'm like, yeah, but then I got to sit down and cut out a video and like let's just throw it on the internet and see what happens.
Amen.
That's kind of like the whole premise of this pod. All right.
Yeah, we're just throwing it out there.
We're just literally throwing it at a wall and seeing if it sticks. And hopefully it does someday. You know, we're trying to do it all. Let's
see. I've got. This is the soundbite.
There's a big difference between winging it and seeing what happens. Now let's see what happens.
That's where we're at.
That's right.
Now let's see what happens. All right.
I love it.
Well, do we dive right in? We ran long on the pod last week because we got lost in our usual nonsense.
Yeah, I felt like when I texted you about the show, I would rather compress the nonsense if we have to,
Fair.
And let's ramble on what has fallen from grace as once upon a time the greatest conference in all of the land.
Yeah.
But it is no more. It has a shot to redeem itself.
Every year.
I'm excited. I am really excited for us to discuss this breakdown, put a lot into this breakdown.
You and me both. I made a spreadsheet.
I have a spreadsheet every week. The last 2 weeks, this last week and this week. So I have my notes. I'm ready to rock. Just like a precursor, I have probably like a lot of people would have most conferences, but I think this one more definitely than last week even. Or like if you look at last week, I had a couple, the Big 12, I had a couple 12-0 teams, a couple 10-2s, some 9-3s. Then we had a strong middle of the pack, like 7-5 to 5-7, and then some like bottom tiers, 3-9, 3-9, 1-11. When I break down the SEC, I don't find a team with a perfect record. I don't think it's going to happen again. And I have a large group of 10-2 to 9-3, 8-4 range. Then like a block of that 7-5. And then we're like pretty bottom heavy again. Like the 2-10 bottom heavy range. As I break down the schedules.
Yeah. I didn't do records on the Big 12.
No.
That thing's too damn hard to predict. I'm not even going to bother.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say I think they finished last, and I feel like on half of the picks it could be tied with 5 other teams at 7-5. I have no idea. Like this is my guess. This one, like you said, put thought into, looked at the schedule, where games fell in relation to the schedule, how hot they were. Are they riding a cold streak, home, away? Like, I dove deep. I was reading. My wife's like, why are you reading? I'm like, babe, it's the fucking SEC.
First off, I know how. Okay. Second off, don't.
It's the SEC. It just means more. We're going to put a little more effort into it. So we're both repping the hats. That's not going to happen for any other conference that we preview.
Where we both rep the hats.
Yeah.
I think the SEC, want pay to go to school at an SEC school. So that's and then the Big Ten are the only hats I have.
Right. And I don't have a Big Ten hat. So this is not going to happen for any other school.
You want me to mail you one? I got a Big Ten hat for a team that does not reside in Minnesota. I went to the Fiesta Bowl once, and I had a lot of Big Ten pride. So I bought a Penn State and Nittany Lions hat.
No thanks.
Okay.
No thanks.
I do have a lot of apparel. Big apparel guy. I should send you a Tennessee jacket that I have when I was a smaller man. Probably fits you well now. Interesting. Very. Anyways, anywho, I like that we cosplayed into the SEC this week. That's good. That's fun. That's fun. This is your conference. All right. This is
I am the defender. I am the sword holder.
yeah. You know,
the SEC. Got it.
Well, yeah. Early days of this podcast.
Yep.
There was some rumbles. One time my wife I don't even think she was my wife then.
No.
I really don't think so. She thought she was going to have to come in and see the end of the pod. She's like, you guys were screaming at each other. I'm like, you could only hear one side of it. What are you talking about? You don't even know what's going on. You had to wait today. We just got a little, we're both passionate about the Big Ten, you, the SEC. Here we are.
I will say I was not passionate about the SEC. I was passionate about what successful means.
Yeah. And now I still
hold that belief. And because of that belief, currently, it is fair to say that the Big Ten is not overrated.
Correct.
The Big Ten is appropriately rated as the best conference in college football because they've won 3 straight national championships that are 3 different schools.
Right. Yeah.
That to me shows depth and competitiveness and at an elite level.
Yeah, that was not to open old wounds here, but that was my whole argument the whole time, was that top to bottom, that conference is better. And I think, I just had to stay the course a little bit longer, and it did. You're right. It did prove itself to be true. It's funny to listen to the media pundits now after the SEC Big Ten blowout that Ben and Jeff had. And especially around this conference, because this conference that we're going to preview today, they love to tell you how good the rest of the conference is, right? Like that's why there should always be, 7 SEC teams in the 12, right? They all think they should be in because of the tough competition they play. But now the media pundits are like, hey, the bottom half of the SEC sucks, and let's just start being honest. Like the bottom half of every conference sucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So here we are.
Yeah.
But I'm going to let you lead because you were the original SEC defender.
Okay. Appreciate it. Just like we did on the Big 12, we're going to start at the bottom.
Yeah, got to go bottom to top.
Bottom to top. Coming in last, and it's a tie. I have it as a tie.
Yeah, I have several at the same record, so just go.
I have 2.
I have 3 at the bottom, so let's go alphabetically last in your
reverse alphabetical.
No, so like closest to Z would be the last one.
Yeah, so reverse alphabetical.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. For me, that's Kentucky. They are in a tough spot. I think they have a new coach this year. I think they fired Stoops, right?
They do. Yep. They do have a new coach.
Didn't put a lot of thought into them. They are just not a very good program. They're not a serious football program. They randomly will give Louisville, who's a marginally serious football program, a run for their money in a rivalry game. But otherwise, they struggle to pick up jock straps and put together a competent football team. I hate their end zones. I've got family that's alumni there. They love the basketball program, but even they acknowledge that football program is a joke. So I've got the Kentucky Wildcats coming in at 2-10, 0-9 in the SEC. Their 2 wins on the year are against Youngstown State and South Alabama. I've got their other non-conference game against Louisville, even though it's at home, coming in as a loss. You see it any differently, Ben?
Wow. No, actually, I see it the exact same way. 2-10. I do have a couple former players who are on the cheer squads at Kentucky. Big Pipeline, Willow Canyon Wildcats to the Kentucky Wildcats.
Let's go.
Go Wildcats, go. Yeah, Kentucky returns 6 starters. 1 on O, 4 on D, and their kicker, Will Stein, comes in, formerly the offensive coordinator at Oregon. I do think it's going to take a lot of time for Will Stein to build the offense. Obviously, I think he can be good. Jay Sloan is the new defensive coordinator, longtime linebackers coach, primarily in the SEC. So I think that's an important hire, just to kind of understand the lay of the land a little bit there. Jay Sloan is OC, although he's not going to be calling plays again. A long time, just position coach, OC and QB's coach some other places. So then I had to dig into the transfer portal. Kenny Minchey is coming in from Notre Dame. A lot of hype around Kenny Minchey, but again, I think as you go through these with me, if a guy isn't playing, I don't understand the hype. You know, like obviously Notre Dame struggled last year. If Kenny Minchey was going to be the guy, they would have put him on the field. You know, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Very rarely in college football do you have like elite level players just riding the pine and waiting for an opportunity. I will say this. I went through all of the transfers, obviously, because now after the Big 12, we get into how much can we pay transfers. Kentucky brought in 5 if you count Minchey, but then Lance Hurd from Tennessee, Terga Shabula from Ohio State, and Colton Prince from Baylor. 3 big offensive linemen, very sought after offensive linemen in the portal, but 30 incoming portal guys. That's just a tough place to be. I had the exact same 2 games as you. You have them at 16th. I have them at 15th. I think it's going to be a tough time in Kentucky. Go cheer on basketball, as Baker Mayfield would say. I think you're muted.
Was absolutely muted.
Yeah.
They are just waiting for their Midnight Madness celebration. The podcast is going to hear me say that twice because I was not muted on the podcast. Yeah. Look, it's a lovely time to, go check out a football game, get drunk with your friends, walk down fraternity and sorority row. And again, they're just waiting for basketball season. Yeah, next on the docket, in reverse alphabetical order, coming in at 2-10 as well. 0 wins in the SEC. The Arkansas Razorbacks. They pick up 2 wins against North Alabama. And honestly, I've got them picking up a win against Tulsa, but who knows? It's at home. That's why I gave them the edge. I don't know if Tulsa's any good. I didn't do any studying on Tulsa. They do have at least a tough non-conference game on their schedule. Unlike most teams in the SEC, they take on Utah. At Utah, I think that will not go well for them. If it does, expect the drumbeat and the uproar of how elite the SEC is to fire the F up. People will not let that go. If somehow, some way, Arkansas manages to beat Utah in Utah. Yeah, 2-10. Not a whole lot to say about this team. I don't like to spend time on losers. You're up.
Same. I picked the same 2 games as well. Ryan Silverfield in year 2. Here's the number I'll give you. They brought in some really good tackles. I don't think it's going to matter. KJ Jackson, the new quarterback, has potential to be good. Again, but he's a guy that they recruited out of high school, so always cool to see. 43 transfers coming into Kentucky into Arkansas this year. That's a lot when the coach stays the same. But I'm with you. I think obviously like week 2 is the depiction of that season. I don't see a scenario playing out where they beat Utah, but if they happen to play well, I think maybe they could, have a game or two where they upset. This is also the same team last year that was up 30-0 at A&M at half and ended up losing the game 45-42.
Yep.
So, I have the Arkansas Razorbacks at 14. They could use some Walmart money on some NIL, and then they'd flip it around fast.
That's all it takes. That is all it takes. Next on my list, and let me make sure we're doing reverse alphabetical. Now I jump into a slew of 5 and 7 programs. If we're going via reverse alphabetical, next up would be, after a magical season and a runner-up in the Heisman race, I got Vanderbilt coming in at 5 and 7. They pick up wins against their non-conference foes, Austin Peay, Delaware, and I give them one at NC State. But they are hosting NC State, so that's good. They get a win against Arkansas, and they get a win against Kentucky. Outside of that, not a lot of hope. I mean, look, I love what that guy is building towards. It's just really hard to replace that dog that was Diego Pavia. And they might have him eventually. I just think that they had a lot of magic bottled up for 2 years. And all that being said, they were never like great. So I don't know. Prove it to me. Maybe they sneak out one and they get to 6 and 6. Be happy for them. Vandy next on the list.
I have Vandy a flip of that record and at 12th in the SEC. 11 returning starters for the Commodores. Clark Lee has done an incredible job with that team. The biggest question mark for me is Jared Curtis, the new starting quarterback. True freshman, 5-star kid, number 2 recruit in the nation. If you have to say anything about the SEC, I don't think anybody would discredit the defense that is played in the SEC. I think of fast, physical defenders when I think of the SEC. And I just don't know what that does to that kid early. But if he can survive, I think it's great. What's the backup plan? You kind of touched on it. I think having the 5-star number 2 recruit in the nation, true freshman, replace Diego Pavia is the exact 180 of one another, where you had the under-recruited, nobody loved me kid to this guy who everybody wanted him. He's a Nashville kid. They flipped him late. Did bring in some really good transfers this year, highlighted by Brian Allen Jr., defensive end from Iowa. I have them on a fun little run. I think Vandy starts 3-0, much like you. And then they get into SEC play. They lose to Auburn, lose to Georgia, lose to Ole Miss. Then they kind of come back into this range of my 2-10 teams: Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi State. Then they got Bama and Florida, and I think those are both losses. You're not going to want to hear it, but I think on the last weekend of the year, they're already bowl eligible. They're playing the Vols. The 5-star kid
Don't do it.
has it all figured out and at least gives everyone a glimpse of hope. This game, if my schedule is correct, is in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
It's at Vandy. If that was on the road, I couldn't do it. But you let that kid become a Tennessee hero, year 1, knock off Tennessee, I think it's just beautiful. So I have the Vandys. For me, they're sitting 12th. And 7-5, just the exact opposite flip of you.
That's fair. It's fair. I just look at it again. I look at it as, like you said, right? The guy who was over recruited versus never recruited.
Yeah.
Everybody drooling over you versus I got something to prove every day of my life. I think you need one at a program like that, and you don't need the other. That's my opinion, right? You need a lot of those lunch pail and hard hat guys to walk in there that are willing to do a lot of work. But could be wrong. I mean, let's go, kid. Let's see what's what. Like you said, with respect to the defenses, look what happened to Arch at the start of last year. It was a nightmare. Now, he did figure it out towards the end of the year. Got a hell of a lot better. Was probably one of the best quarterbacks in the country the last 4 or 5 games of the year. Outside of, the guy who just got drafted number 1 overall. So, yeah, I don't love to hear that, but I respect the opinion, man. Next up for me is Missouri. The Missouri Tigers. Let's look at their schedule. Let me pull it up here, dude. Obviously wins against a bunch of the no-names. Arkansas Pine Bluff. They're a power. What's their mascot? Don't care. Next up, I gave them a win against Kansas. I almost didn't, but I did give them a win against Kansas on the road. Then they come back home and they beat Troy. Then they go cold. They lose Mississippi State, Florida, A&M, Ole Miss. They beat Arkansas. Then they lose to Texas, Georgia. And they beat Kentucky and then lose to Oklahoma to end the year. 5-7.
Again, I have them. We're gonna stay very close in this range. We'll be a couple off, but I have them finishing 10th, 7-5 in the SEC. Total. 6 returning starters, 5-0. Eli Drinkwitz, Coach Drink, man, he's fun. He always puts out a tough team. They're going to be in some games that they shouldn't be. I like that they brought in Austin Simmons from Ole Miss. That's who Trinidad took the job of when he got hurt. He brought in Caden Lee, who is a really good wideout at Ole Miss, kind of followed Austin Simmons. They always do. Drink does a really good job. 30 portal kids, brings in Chip Lindsey as the new offensive coordinator. He was at Michigan last year. Super well-respected offensive coordinator, just like in the profession in general. So I think it's going to be a fun deal to watch. I agree with you. I think Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma, those are the 5 losses. I don't really see, this is probably one of the tougher SEC schedules as well. But I think 7-5 is a fair spot for them to be, which puts them, I like that range where we're giving them essentially riding the line of bowl eligibility. I think that's a very fair assessment on this squad.
Yeah. Agreed. Next for me on just continuing down the line, I got Mississippi State also at 5-7. Was fascinated by this one for a few reasons. Like, I kind of like what they're building there. I just think it's tough sledding, and they don't necessarily have as deep of pockets as everybody else. I like Jeff Levy. I like what he's building. And I think they have a lot of potential. But when I look through their schedule, I just don't see a lot of wins on it. And that's kind of how I went through it. It was like, I like Mississippi State. I like the Bulldogs. Let me look at their schedule. And I'm going through it, and I'm like, ugh, this does not look good for them. They start off with a win at home against Louisiana Monroe. Then they travel to Minnesota, and they get smacked around by the Gophers, I feel. All right. I hope I am not wrong on that. I don't want to see that happen to the Gophers. Then they start their conference play early at South Carolina, who I'm high on this year. I think they lose that one. They beat Missouri. Then they lose to Alabama, LSU, Oklahoma, Texas. I gave them a win against Vanderbilt because it's at home. They beat Auburn. They beat Tennessee Tech, then lose at Ole Miss to end the year, finishing 5-7.
Yeah, you're giving them a little more credit than I am. This is my 16th ranked team in the SEC. I have them going 2-10. I do like Jeff Lebby a lot. Starkville just has to be one of the hardest places to win. You have to kind of catch lightning in a battle. They had the 1 year with Dak Prescott, but that was obviously Dan Mullen, and it just was a special time, I think, right? And they do return a decent amount, 2 on O, 4 on D, the kicker punter, for a total of 8. Kamario Taylor started the last 2 games of the last game of the regular season against Ole Miss last year, and then he played in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, which did end up getting hurt. They were a 5-win bowl team last year. No one really knows. Obviously, the week 2 matchup, I think, is a very good test for both those teams, Mississippi State and Minnesota. I think it's a very big tell on both of those seasons. Again, 27 incoming transfers with a head coach that was there is just a wild thing. That's like revamping a roster. I don't know. They brought in a couple of good players. Marquise Johnson is a wide receiver from Missouri. Amari Williams is a stud DN from Florida State. But I just don't know that there's enough to get done. And the scary part of Kamario Taylor, people that are watching this, they'll see it week 2. That's a hell of an athlete. And if I'm a Gophers fan, which I am, and I'm looking at that week 2 matchup, I'm extremely nervous of the athleticism that Kamari Taylor brings to the field, his ability to make off-schedule plays. But with that comes the injury concern, and that's what happened in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. The kid leaves himself wide open because, he's a freak. I believe Kamario Taylor is, 6'4", 200, and what's that say? Where are we at? 230 pounds. That's a big dog playing quarterback. And I'm very low on this team again, unfortunately. So I have them 16th in the conference.
Right on, dude. Yeah. Next up for me, I have, again, sitting at 5-7, Auburn, the Auburn Tigers. I'm excited about, and I feel like this could be one I'm wrong on, like on the low end. I think they could get to 7-5, maybe 8-4, but it's a new head coach, Alex Galesh. They got a new quarterback, from USF. Again, it's just they're going from, what are they, ACC? I think USF's in the ACC, right?
I believe they're in the American.
Oh, American, whatever. Going from lesser competition all the way around to, the major leagues, if you will. If you're talking about anybody going into the Big Ten or the SEC, it's just a higher level of competition week in and week out. They've got potential, but when I looked at their schedule, didn't find a lot of wins on it. Start off the year, I gave them a win against Baylor. It's at a neutral site, and they beat Southern Miss. They host Florida. I have them losing that one. Then they beat Vandy. Then they lose to Tennessee, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss. They beat Arkansas. They lose to Mississippi State, which you probably have that the opposite direction if I had to guess. They beat Samford and then lose to Bama. Just, it's one game here or there. Maybe they sneak one of those out somewhere in there. Maybe they beat Florida. Maybe they beat Mississippi State, and all of a sudden you're looking at, 7-5 instead.
Yeah, I have Auburn finishing 9th in the conference, 7-5. You're absolutely right. 6 returners from that team last year. Alex Galesh comes from South Florida, brings Byron Brown with him. some pretty good. I mean, they brought 13 USF Bulls with them, which I thought was very important. If the culture transfers, much like we saw at Indiana, other places, I think then it'll be a big deal. Big time SEC defensive coordinator hire in DJ Durkin. Bryson Washington, running back from Baylor, transfers in. 2 SEC already established defensive linemen in Deshaun Womack and Walter Mathis from Ole Miss and LSU, respectively, transferring in. This has a chance to be a really good team that'll wreck some seasons. I think they start a little hotter than everybody else. I have them starting 4-0. I do have them beating Florida. Last year, Alex Galesh in South Florida is the reason that oh my gosh, he was from Louisiana. Anyways, their old coach got fired.
Napier?
Yeah, Billy Napier. Thank you. And I think that there's a lot of people in Florida were extremely hopeful that Alex Galesh was going to be their guy because he had a stranglehold on the Florida recruiting scene, right? He was at South Florida. They just beat Florida. If he's going to the SEC, they're going to, he's going to get an SEC job. Why not keep that guy? That's not the route they went. I don't know, Alex Galesh. I don't know that he wanted the Florida job. I would assume so, not a lot of differences from, I think USF is in Tampa, right? Tampa to Gainesville. That's not a really different life. That's not a different recruiting scene. You just have more money. So I'm excited to see what Auburn and Alex Galesh do. But I'm at 7-5, 9th in the conference. Nothing crazy. I do think if this team gets hot, they could ruin a couple seasons. But again, you kind of talk like the meat grinder of that schedule. Once they get past Vandy, it's Tennessee, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Stanford, and then they end the season obviously with Bama and the Iron Bowl. But this is where this conference starts to get fun, I think, too.
Mm-hmm. Heard that. Next for me, coming in at 6-6, team you just talked about a lot, and kind of like in line with Auburn for me as well. Is just it's a new regime, success following them hopefully, and obviously just brings new life, and that's the Florida Gators. I got them at 6-6. They don't have anywhere near as difficult of a schedule as they did last year. It's still hard. I want to preface that. It's still hard, but they do not have to hit all of the top teams in the conference like they did last year. I got them at 6-6. They start off the year 3-0, wins over Florida Atlantic, Campbell, and Auburn. Then they lose to Ole Miss. They beat Missouri. Lose to South Carolina, Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma. Then they beat Kentucky and Vanderbilt. And I have them losing to Florida State, but they could win that rivalry game. I don't know, and be 7-5. Kind of right in the middle of the conference when it's all said and done. 8, 9, 10. I don't know, somewhere in there. 8th or 9th. Yeah.
Yeah, I have. Looks like you have them at roughly a 10th, and I have them at 13th. Very similar record. I have them finishing 5-7. 4 returning starters on each side of the ball. John Summerall comes from Tulane. Not a lot of like high profile transfers. Kind of more like the Indiana approach where they went and got some older, more experienced guys. But my biggest bugaboo was there was only 2 transfers that came from Tulane. Tulane was a playoff team last year, right? And if you're going to establish that culture of what you want, I mean, that's kind of how Signetti had the success, was by bringing in the guys that were with you. Again, it all comes down to the QB position a lot. And they have Aaron Philo, who's a Georgia Tech transfer. Again, didn't play at Georgia Tech. It's a good recruit out of high school, but just seems like a lot to be like, when we put money into these transfer portal kids, there's enough guys on the move that have some kind of experience. especially when you're the SEC. So I just a little surprised there. But yeah, 13th for me, 10th for you. You said 6-6. I said 5-7. We're right there on the Gators.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Next for me is a team that I was surprised that I had here. I had a lot of faith in them. And then I went through their schedule game by game, and it just kind of turned out the way it did. I got Texas A&M coming in at 9th at 7-5. I like the coach. I like their quarterback. But man, like it's a rough road. It's a rough road, and we'll get into it. You just expect. I have an expectation that Marcel Reed's going to take another step up, but like his biggest issue last year, he turned the ball over an astronomical amount of times for an elite level quarterback. He's electric when he's on. He's fast as hell. He can move outside of the pocket. He can create plays on his own. But he also just made a lot of really costly and really big mistakes. So if he continues to improve, I can see them maybe being a win or two better than this. Start off the year, win against Missouri State. They host Arizona State. They win there. They beat Kentucky. And they go to LSU. I think they lose that. Then they beat Arkansas, Missouri, the Citadel. Then they go to Alabama. I have them taking that loss. They go to South Carolina. I have them taking that loss. I have them beating Tennessee at home, then losing at Oklahoma, and then losing the final game of the year when they're hosting Texas. And all the Yell leaders cry.
I'm a little bit higher on Texas A&M. I have them at 9-3. Good chunk of returners, 10 total, 4 on O, 5 on D, and the punter. Mike Elko's great. Marcel Reed's great. You're absolutely right. He's got to take care of the ball a little bit better. Isaiah Horton transfers in from Bama. I think that's huge. Anto Saka, he probably not a lot of people know. He is a freak, dude. He played at Northwestern last year. If you watch Northwestern at all, and I just saw a bunch of stuff on him, so I'm a little bit higher. But this guy had like slide protection to him, or he was chipped with a tight end like every play in the Big Ten. And they were like, hey, we're going to let anybody else beat us. And now he's in the SEC, and you can't really play the games like that because everybody else is as good, right? 19 total transfers, but you're right. Last year, this was such an up and down team. They definitely need to be more consistent on offense. New offensive coordinator coming in. We'll see what that looks like as Colin Klein went back to Kansas State. I think if Marcel Reed takes a step and continues to progress, I think they could be dangerous. If you run through the schedule, we agree on almost everything until South Carolina, Tennessee, and then I actually have them knocking off Texas the last week of the season because that sounds like the most Texas Longhorn thing of all time is to lose in College Station the last week of the year, and I'm fired up for it. If we got, an 8-3 team at that point, not to give it away, probably hosting a 1 or 2 loss team. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a banger of a game on a Saturday after Thanksgiving. Maybe that's Friday night even. I don't know, the 27th. That must be Friday night. So, anyways, I'm at 7th. You're at 9th. We're right there.
Absolutely. Coming in at 8th in the league for me. This is probably my most improved / in the spot where they should be coming into a season and why I think they're going to have success. And that's South Carolina. I have them going 8-4. They've got a returning quarterback in Sellers who has proven that he can win in the SEC. The pressure, I don't want to say is off. The pressure's never off for any of these coaches at these institutions, but I don't think they're expected to have a good year. And because of that, I think they're going to. That's where Beamer Jr. loves to live. They're counting us out. That's where we're going to get these wins. And, I don't know why. I just have this weird feeling about him. Watching the SEC show, I fell in love with that guy. And I feel like just because like they're not being picked to be competitive, they're going to be. And I honestly, like, I think some of the wins that I give them are like they're sneaky ones. They're all at home, the schedule kind of sets up nice. So, they start off the year, they beat Kent State, they beat Towson, and then they beat Mississippi State at home. They lose at Alabama. All right, that's chalk. Beat Kentucky. They go to Florida, who neither of us are incredibly high on. And this could be a toss-up. I think they beat Florida at Florida, right? Then they lose at home to Tennessee. They beat Oklahoma, or they lose to Oklahoma at Oklahoma. I've got them. This is where I have them like sneaking a win, and that's against A&M at home. Low pressure. They're 6-3. It's at home. All of a sudden, like they're starting to believe in themselves. They get that win. They go to Arkansas. They win there. They lose at Georgia. Final game of the year against Clemson. I haven't dove into Clemson yet, so this could be a wildly inappropriate take, but they beat Clemson at Clemson and finish 8-4.
Yeah, we're spot on. I have them 8th. I have them 8-4. Our only flip here is you have them losing to Tennessee, beating A&M. I have the flip of that, beating Tennessee, losing to A&M. Good amount of returning starters, both sides of the ball. Big year for LaNorris Sellers. One of their biggest additions in my eyes is Kendall Briles. He's offensive coordinator, going to be up tempo and fast and wide and all the stuff he didn't and wasn't able to do at Clemson. So I do think that last week of the season is going to be kind of a bloodbath for a multitude of reasons. They did really well in the portal again. Jacarius Peak is an NC State transfer. He was the number 1 tackle in the portal, or maybe number 2 on some people's, but he was high. And they got him. They went and got Emmanuel Poco, who is another high interior offensive lineman. I'm not sure if they'll play him at guard or center, but they went and got guys to protect LaNorris Sellers, which I thought was big. They could wreck a lot of seasons. This team, you're 100% right. They could, as much as they could be 8-4, they could probably be 4-8, and they could probably be 11-1. It's just kind of how the Shane Beamer time at South Carolina has gone. Dylan Stewart, defensive end, he rocks number 6. Guy's finally healthy, and he's finally a senior. He's been a stud for a while, but he could be the best defensive end in the country. And a lot of people are high on LaNorris Sellers, and I think kind of a winning combination anywhere you are is have a good quarterback and have guys to get after the other quarterback. And South Carolina has that, so I have them dead heap in the middle of the pack, just like you, 8-4. We're kind of chalk on that.
Nice. Yeah, 7th for me is a team I kind of expected to be lower, but I've got them coming in at 9-3. And that's look, they got a new QB. They have a ton of talent on this team, but they underperformed last year. And honestly, I thought the offense underperformed. Well, the offense is run by the head coach. The defense was pretty good. Had outperformed the offense, in my opinion, as a fan, for the last 2 years. But for some reason, they got rid of the DC, and they brought in Jim Knowles. From what I have understood with respect to him and his defenses, they take a little while to learn. Kind of like Brian Flores. If you're not in the systems a long time, they can be confusing and guys can be out of place, and it's hard for them to adjust to and get down. But then I looked at the schedule and I was like, geez, this is kind of like easier with respect to what it could have been. It's not easy, but it's easier than what I thought it was going to be. And I ran through it, and I got them coming in at 9-3. I think they beat Furman, Georgia Tech, Kennesaw State to start the year. They're hosting Texas. That's a loss. And I mean, I'm just going what I would call obvious for most of it, at the exception of one game. They beat Auburn at home. They beat Arkansas there. They beat South Carolina at South Carolina. I skipped over a game because they're hosting Alabama October 17th. That'll be a night game. I can almost guarantee it. I've got them picking that win up. It's going to be their surprise win of the year. Could easily lose that and go 8-4. I get that. Then they beat Kentucky. I got them losing to A&M, losing to LSU, and beating Vanderbilt to end the year. You've got them losing that. I'm curious to hear what your thought is with respect to Tennessee, because they're not what they were 2 years ago. I'm aware of that. They're kind of like rebuilding, but are also still somewhat competitive, just because of the talent that's on the roster. So I don't know. I'm curious to hear your take, brother.
I have Tennessee at 7-5 and 11th in the SEC. They returned 6 starters on what?
Boo! Nobody likes you.
They returned 6 starters on O, 3 on D. The big question mark for me here is George McIntyre, right? Yeah, he's a true blue high school recruit. That's something that we don't see a lot of. So, I mean, in other seasons and past time before, that would make you feel extremely comfortable. Like, oh, we've been sitting on this kid. We've been developing him, whatever. I do think that this could be a 10, 11, almost 12 win team. I think the biggest get they had was Jim Knowles. They went and got the best defensive coordinator in all of college football, in my opinion. And then he brings in with him Chaz Coleman, Xavier Gilman, Amari Campbell, probably 10 other Penn State guys, but for sure those 3 who were absolute dudes on that defense. And he brings them down to start wearing orange and just get after the quarterback. So, their defense was good, and then I think it got better. So that's huge. But it's just all the quarterback question mark. George McIntyre was there last year, right? I sure he would have been a true freshman, maybe a redshirt freshman. I believe he's going to be a redshirt sophomore. And obviously, it takes time. But they went and got Joey Aguilar last year, right? And why? Right? Like, why is that? That's my question. Sometimes you're 100% right. Got a whole nother year to sit. And I'm not saying it's always a bad thing. When I just look at the Southeastern Conference, it has been quarterback musical chair since we kind of opened the portal. This is not the conference to have developed Qs. There's not a lot of people that can say that, but here more than anywhere, I don't think we're going to. I mean, I think him and Gunnar Stockton, Jared Curtis, Kamario Taylor, KJ Jackson, I think we only have 5, and Arch. So 6 of the 16 are guys that committed there out of high school, which, sometimes works well, sometimes doesn't. I think sometimes there's a shorter leash as well. But I think that Tennessee could also, like I said, I think they could skyrocket. They could be a 10-win team. You're right. The totality of the schedule is not extremely tough. They get LSU at home. They get Texas at home. I mean, those are the big things, right?
Like, all their tough games are at home.
Right. That's where, like, okay, all of a sudden this can flip, So I'm excited to watch Tennessee this year. I love Josh Heupel, the pride of Aberdeen, South Dakota. But yeah, I think they're right in that. I don't think they're worse than 7-5. I'll tell you that. Where I have them, I do think is their floor.
That's fair. That's fair. I know you bring up like such an interesting point on like homegrown QBs at institutions. How many? I think that's a fascinating thing to think about moving forward. for like any school.
Yeah.
Like, how often are we truly going to see that? Because in the win now day and age, not to like go on this sidebar tangent here that we're about to go on, but in the win now day and age, and like doing what Cignetti did and seeing how fast a program can technically get turned around if there's an investment into it, how many coaches are going to truly do that, where they're going to bring a freshman in, have them start, and just let them roll? And, you know, like even Arch didn't start as a freshman. He was the most hyped quarterback prospect on planet Earth for the last 30 years, right? And so their mentality, as you mentioned, right, these kids that are fawned over, how many of them are going to wait? They're ready to like go find their next job. You know what I mean? Like this kid who went to Vanderbilt, if he's not going to Vanderbilt and let's say he went to Texas and he had to sit for a year behind Arch, or maybe Arch says, I'm going to come back again. Does he transfer? I bet he does. The only reason Arch didn't when Quinn Ewers came back is because like he doesn't need the money. He knows he's, you know, like he knew he was going to get his shot, and like the time was enough. He's going to have enough time to prove himself and get drafted and all those things. Not everybody else knows that. And so I think like the patience is thin on both sides of that coin from the coach's standpoint and fan base, and like their willingness to let a coach work through things with the young player, to also the player saying, I don't want to sit.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. While you're talking, I just went and counted the Big 12 quarterbacks because we've done the two shows. They are in the same group as the SEC so far, 6 of 16. So we are 12 of 32. Our starting day one quarterbacks that, you know, they recruited out of high school to their teams. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a fun tidbit to follow and see how many I do think, just like quick count off the top of my head, I do think the Big Ten is going to be the highest one. I do believe that. And we'll get there, you know, not to spoil and focus on other conferences, but it is and we've talked about it, you know, if I'm trying to think, I think it was the former, let's see, maybe he's still there, but I think it was the Texas State. I think it was Texas State head coach, GJ Kinney. I think, anyways, he came in. He's like, listen, I have 4 years to win if I'm lucky. And if I don't, I'm out of here. He's like, so for those 4 years, at least the first 2, I can't worry about developing high school kids. And his first year through, he just went and got portal kids. Mm-hmm. And they built a pretty fun team, and they got bowl eligible, and they took and that was the year that Arizona State won the Big 12 and went to the playoff, and they took them to the wire. And that game was at Texas State. And I think ASU versus Texas State. Let's see. Okay, it was a little. Oh, that was last year. I need to look at 2024. Yeah, 31-28. And, you know, and he did it. He got his team rolling faster, and he just kind of said, hey, I have to have developed humans, which you do. You're absolutely right. You know, like, I don't know, like, we'll get to Austin Mack here at Alabama whenever we get to him. Like, do you count in Austin Mack, where Austin Mack went to Washington with Kalen out of college, out of high school, and then transferred to Alabama with Kalen? You know, I don't count that because it's not the school, but it kind of is. I mean, at this point, we're just kind of renting the jerseys. It's just whoever's in charge. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, that's gonna be a fun thing to follow as we move along.
Yeah. All right, 6th, you know, 5th, 6th, 7th, they're all the same record for me. So, you know, Tennessee, this team, and the next are all kind of finishing in roughly the same spot. based on how I looked at this, would be Ole Miss. I got them coming in at 9-3. The flip side of the Lane Kiffin drama coin is the school that he left, right? Chambliss. I want to say Chambly. It's not. Trinidad was granted an extra year of eligibility. He's going back. Galen Lacey's going back. I think this team is going to have some stink to them, just like us versus the world mentality. You know, we were a playoff team last year, and you left us for quote unquote greener pastures. You know, a big FU to the whole world. We want to prove to the world we can do this without Lane Kiffin. You look at their schedule, I think it's doable. You know, they start off against Louisville, Charlotte, win. This is the matchup that everything hinges on, and we are in for a treat. Week 3, September 19th, they host LSU. That is going to be an electric factory. I mean, we've all heard stories of like buses getting hit by rocks and all the extra security. I think it's going to dial it up to 11. It's going to be intense, and I'm here for it. I can't wait to watch it. I think they get the win. I think they beat LSU, your alma mater, or your current school. I'm not sure if you've graduated yet, your current school. I think they get that win. Then they go to Florida. They get the win. To Vandy, win. Host Missouri, win. They're starting off 6-0. They're flying high. Then they run into Texas, at Texas. I think that's their first loss. They beat Auburn at home. Then they host Georgia. I think they lose that one. Go to Oklahoma, lose. Then a real tough matchup against Wofford. They eke that one out and end the year with a win against Mississippi State to go 9-3. Could be 8-4, you know, depending on that Ole Miss game or the LSU game. There was like 4 games on this schedule that I didn't pick until the very end. I gave this one a win for Ole Miss. I just love teams that are that there's a narrative to, that they're fighting against some unknown demon, and it's just internal and it's just in that locker room. I don't know, man. Yeah, I like Pete Golding. I like everything he said. With respect to everything that he did at the end of the year. They got a college football playoff win. Like, just, I'm a fan of them, and more so because they're the girl that got left. You know, it's every rom-com, like, watch me glow up and make the boy jealous. And I hope that it's probably the team I'm rooting for most in this conference outside of Tennessee. Like, I just want to see them do well, because it'll be hilarious. It will be hilarious.
I'll start by saying this. Here for me, so our top 6 teams, and really 7 with my Texas A&M in there. However you slice this top part of this conference. For me, 6 through 2, I have all at the same record, 10-2. I have one team winning this conference going 11-1. But this is where I started this show prefacing this is the problem with the SEC. I do think that their top half is too top heavy. You know, like, these guys are going to beat the hell out of each other. They're going to somebody's going to have to get knocked out of the playoff because we can't put 6 teams in a 12 team, right? So we're going to have 4. So what's that look like? Who's it going to be? It's going to be fun. So I have Ole Miss at 5th. And again, this is alphabetical for me from here. And really, I think anywhere in these top 6, you can interchange these teams. This is just how I looked at the schedule, the way it goes. The biggest thing for me moving forward here is the returners on the team. Ole Miss is one of the higher in the conference. They have 12 true returning starters from last year's team to this year's team. When you think about what that looks like for their head coach, their OC, most of their offensive coaching staff to leave and go to LSU, And they all could have got money. Obviously, like Trinidad, Kewan Lacey, like all those guys could have had a chance to go to LSU, and I'm sure were offered, but they all stayed. I agree. I love Pete Golding. Trinidad is a freak. They bring in some really good defenders in the transfer portal. I think the number one guy is Luke Farrelly from Cal, a linebacker. He was all ACC. He might have been like the freshman of the year in the ACC. But it's all Coach Golding all the time now, man. He held that team together. I think that's very special, what he was able to do, because it wasn't like they just got there. They beat the brakes off Tulane, I think. And then we saw them against, I suppose it would have been Miami, right? And that was a hell of a game. It was close. It's definitely a team I'm excited to watch all year long. I've always liked Ole Miss. There's just something about Ole Miss where it's like, at least in my lifetime following football, they've always had so many good players. And Ole Miss should always be like so close to being so good, and they just aren't. But then they'll have these magical seasons, and then it seems like fall off for 5 or 6. And I just hope that this isn't it. So I got them going 10-2. Just real quick for me, I think they lose to Texas in Austin, and I think they lose to Oklahoma in Norman. Yeah, because of where those games are at. But otherwise, I mean, really, LSU at Oxford, that's their next biggest one. I just think that's that you talk about like wanting to die rather than lose a game. That's everyone at Ole Miss that week.
You got them beating Georgia.
I do have them beating Georgia at home. It was, I look at this and like, obviously we'll get into it. I'll get into Georgia, but I do have them beating Georgia just because of where it's at. I think I played heavy into with these teams where the location of the game was. That's kind of how I felt. I think all of these games, if you take these top 6 that we all have together, Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, right? Whatever, LSU, that mix of 6, if you line them up on any given Saturday anywhere in the country, I think the spread's going to be 3 or less, and it's going to favor the home team.
Right.
So that's fun. I mean, that's fun. That's what you want, right? You want a Saturday, especially you get to this back half, the start of November. You look at some of those games in those slots. We can talk about it here at the end of the night, but man, there's some games in November in the SEC where, yeah, you're right, it does mean more. And I'm excited to watch.
I mean, I think the schedule this year is front loaded and back loaded.
For sure. Yeah, no, I mean, like,
there's still like when I've looked through it, it's just bangers, and we'll get into it. We've still got teams to go. I love where your head's at because mine's in the same spot with respect to like how jumbled this all gets.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Especially here as we're like getting towards the top. I've got, what did I have in the top 5? I mean, an Ole Miss could be 10-2. In my opinion, but they won't be. I've got them at 9-3. I've got 2 10-2 teams, 3 11-1 teams, and I think there's a chance that there could be 4 11-1 teams. It's just, I mean, these are coin tosses. Like when you get here, you're literally just saying, I think they get this one this time. It's like, geez, you look at it at the end and you're like, oh my God, how did we get here? Next on the docket for me, going 10-2. Is Boomer Sooner. They have a tough schedule, especially because they're probably one of the few that's playing a legitimate out-of-conference opponent. But I like them. I just like them, man. They're returning a lot, including Mateer, who at the start of last year was really high-level quarterback for them, could sling it, could run, and then he got hurt and they rushed him back to beat Texas, and he just wasn't kind of the same the rest of the year. But yeah, returning a lot. I like Venables, plays tough defense. Like, schedules is what it is. We'll run through it, but I think they open the year. They beat UTEP. They go to the Big House in Michigan, and I think they get a win. Michigan's going to have their own issues this year. I think this is an early test that, they'll regret taking on. And Oklahoma gets that. Then they come home, beat New Mexico. Then they go to Georgia. I think they lose there. Neutral site, Texas State Fair against Texas. I think they lose that. And then they run the table. They beat Kentucky, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Florida, Ole Miss, A&M, and Missouri. I could see. I like the Ole Miss and A&M game because they're at home. It's like their schedule is tough, but it's set up for them at the same time. And they could beat Texas. Like, they usually beat Texas. I don't have a lot of faith in Texas. They could be 11-1 for crying out loud. That's where I'm at.
This is my regular season Big 12 SEC champion. I do have them going 11-1, and it all comes down to week 4 bye week 6. They returned 12 starters on this roster. Venables is calling the plays. They went out and got so many good transfer guys. Terrell Harris from Virginia, Parker Livingstone, who was Arch Manning's freaking roommate from Texas, comes over to play wide receiver at Oklahoma. And now what? He's going to score at the state fair and throw horns down across the field. I mean, what are we doing? They brought in like 16 guys that I think are just like key players, and like, hey, we maybe didn't like, or we needed depth at this piece so they could compete. That's what they did. I think Venables is at his best when he's calling plays, unlike a lot of other coaches, and so he's back to calling plays full time last year, and now he's stuck with it. But for me, I have 11-1, and when I did the schedule, I did like this, and you can go either way, but I think if they beat Georgia, they lose to Texas. And if they lose to Georgia, they beat Texas. That's kind of how I see that, just how that plays out. That, what Red River rivalry, I love that it's at the Texas State Fair, and that's kind of like our first big rivalry weekend every year at college football. I just wish that was Thanksgiving Day weekend. Like, you could still have it at the Texas State Fair. Everybody could drive in. I get the Texas State Fair isn't still going on Thanksgiving weekend, but that's like obviously the reason they do that. That is almost like a perfect split from Austin to Norman. Like, it's dead. The Cotton Bowl is dead center in the middle. I'm big. I think Mateer's going to be great. They brought in guys to help replace. They returned so many guys. I mean, to have 12 returners on this team, it's going to be an exciting time. But I'm with you, dude. These are all coin flips. I do think, and don't be shocked, I think they will get a little pressed by New Mexico week 3. I'm a big Jason Eck lover, former SDSU, Minnesota State Mankato offensive coordinator. I just like what he's doing there. And last year they went up to Michigan and they busted out every trick play possible. They're going to do it again. They're going to have fun. They're getting paid a couple $1 million to go up there and get their butts whipped. That's just not how they roll. I'm just saying, when it's a closer game than it should be, don't hit the panic button. Because that's what New Mexico is going to try and pull out. But this is my 11-1 team. But as I said, man, these are all coin flips.
I love it. I love it, dude. It's my next one is right there as well. I mean, dude, they're all here. And this is wildly hard to predict. My next 10-2 team could easily be 11-1. If I didn't have a little hometown, I think they can do it in me. And that's the Alabama Crimson Tide. I've got them at 10-2. I think they're super intriguing. who's going to be the quarterback. I mean, you think it's going to be Austin Mack, but they've got Keelan Russell. He's got bigger upside, I think. And so we'll see what happens there, right? I like their schedule a lot, too. And that's where I just hung a loss on them, probably out of my heart and wanting Tennessee to be able to do it. But you look at their schedule, off the rip, East Carolina, Kentucky, Florida State, they're all wins. They host South Carolina, win. On the road at Mississippi State. Then they host Georgia. I give them the win there. I just think, like, in that matchup, whoever's hosting usually gets the win. Then I hung a loss on them going to Tennessee, and that's also partially why they're coming off the hangover that is playing, probably a 2-3 matchup or a 2-4, maybe a 3-5 nationally televised game. Everybody's calling it the game of the century. They get that win, a little bit of a letdown the following week, and they lose to Tennessee. Then they host A&M, beat them, and they go on the road to LSU, and I have them losing to LSU and then finishing the year with wins against Vanderbilt, Chattanooga, and Auburn. You could flip that Tennessee loss, and they're 11-1, and I got 4 teams tied at 11-1.
Yeah, dude, I'm right there with you. I have them at 10-2. Also, I have them alphabetically number 2 in the conference. Not a lot of returners on this team, but Kalen forever on the hot seat, right? But I'm rolling with Austin Mack just simply because, Ryan Grubb is back at Alabama. He was last year. He took a year off. That first year Kalen was at Alabama, Ryan Grubb went to be the OC for the Seattle Seahawks. And Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer have been together since the University of Sioux Falls. And that's no shit. And so that's why I'm leaning to Austin Mack, just because I think, they've groomed this kid since Washington. This is their guy. This is the guy they recruited. Obviously, he's on. I guess Austin Mack would be another one because I think technically he might have done some spring ball there. I don't know. I'd have to look. But anyways, some really good transfers in. Devin Tompkins from USC. 11 of their 17 transfers are on the offensive and defensive line. Noah Rogers, North Carolina State, wide receiver transferring. They did have a lot of losses, but I think that's just going to happen at these top programs, right? Like, no matter where you look, they're going to have guys leave because somebody else is throwing more money somewhere else. I mean, for Kalen, the more I watch this stuff at Alabama, the more I respect and love the guy. Is like, dude, he's forever on the hot seat. And somebody had to be the guy to follow Nick Saban. And I think it takes a lot of balls and self-confidence to be like, I want to be that fucking guy. I just love that. The coordinators are both back, Grubb and Womack. They're not leaving. They're Kalen guys. Womack was going to be a head football coach, and then Kalen got the job at Alabama, and then Womack's like, well, wherever he was going to go, Northwest Directional Tech can wait. I'm going to be the DC at Alabama instead. Probably make the same amount of cash. I don't know. But just really excited for this team. I'm with you, man. I got them losing to Georgia. I got them losing to LSU just because. But I feel like those could all be flipped. And you're absolutely right. I think every team we talk about, so I'm not going to say it every time, 12-0, 9-3. That's the slot. Figure it out how they fit in there.
I heard that. Yeah. Going alphabetically, in the 3 teams I did pick to go 11-1, which again could be 4. In the 3 teams I did pick to go 11-1, next up is Texas for me. They ended the year looking much better than they did to start the year. Arch got off to a slow start, showed a ton of growth. They are loaded with talent. Loaded. I think they have a lot coming back. And they're ready to roll. You look at their schedule. Not terribly difficult in what it could be, Yeah, so I mean, you go through it. I've got them now. Look, I've got them 11-1, getting a huge win over Ohio State in week 2. That game has honestly like no indicator on this conference. I just picked that as a win for them because they're hosting. It was a tight game last year, and I think you're looking at 2 of the national title contenders. It's going to be an incredible matchup. Can't wait to see it. I think Ohio State was light years better than Texas last year, and Texas still gave them a run for their money with a very new and fresh quarterback on the road in the shoe. So I give them the edge because since they're hosting. Then they beat UTSA. They beat Tennessee at Tennessee. Again, neutral versus Oklahoma. They win that one. Then they host Florida, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State, 3 in a row, all wins. On the road to Missouri. They go to LSU. That's where I have them catching their loss. Then they host Arkansas, easy win. And then I have them beating A&M in the last game of the year. I know you got them losing that one.
Yeah, I do have them losing the last game of the year. Texas is my number 6 again alphabetically. I also have them 10-2, 11 returning starters, 6-0, 5 on D. We all know the quarterback. We all know the head coach. But then they go and get Cam Coleman from Auburn, who is a freak of a wide receiver. They went and got arguably the 2 best running backs in the portal, in Hollywood Smothers from North Carolina State and Raleek Brown from Arizona State. And then, yeah, dude, they take on, I mean, that is the toughest non-schedule game in America, I think. Everybody else canceling those. They kept it on the schedule, both teams. So I give OSU, Ohio State, and Texas a ton of credit for continuing that home and home. I don't think you're 100% right. Like last year, it was kind of a letdown for a lot of people. It was a defensive battle. What was that game? I think 13-6.
13-7.
Yeah, 13-7. And it's just, I don't think we see 13-7 again. I don't think we get a runaway either. I think it's probably closer in like that 21, 24, 17 range, something like that. I'll just say this. I think if they beat Ohio State, and not like necessarily even like handily, but like not a question, like it doesn't have to be like a beatdown, but a score or more. I think watch out for this Texas team. I think, I don't think, I know that they're going to be better. The way they load up in the portal, the amount of money they spend, they bring back Will Muschamp, who is the DC again. He's kind of got like my favorite coaching like clip of all time when he was the head coach at Florida. Somebody says, "Well, Will, do you know how to recruit?" And he said, "You ever seen my wife?" Hell yeah, Will. It is a 10 out of 10 line. But he was the defensive coordinator there under Brown, and he's just like a Texas legend, and now he's back. Just kind of restores some of that moxie on the defensive side. So, we're splitting hairs, dude, but I got him 10-2, finishing 6th. Alphabet.
Finishing 6th alphabetically. Yeah, brother. Next up for me alphabetically again, 11-1. LSU. The drama. Oh, the drama. Lane leaves Ole Miss to go to a school that has been underperforming for 4 years. I didn't want to have them 11-1. If I'm being honest, like I didn't. I wanted to be like, oh yeah, no, they're going to continue to fall on their face. But I like what they've done. Bringing in Sam Levitt, I liked him a lot at Arizona State. They've got some really good receivers. They got a really high potential tight end on that team that I think they could turn into a big weapon. The line is a little questionable. But when you look at this schedule, dude, not that it's not easy, but I just think I think it sets up well for them. I really do. They open hosting Clemson. I gave them a win. Again, they could lose that. I don't know. I'm not entirely certain. Then they host Louisiana Tech. That's a win. We already mentioned the early matchup at Ole Miss. I think that is a loss. Then they win out home against A&M, against McNeese. Who cares? At Kentucky, home against Mississippi State, at Auburn, home against Bama, and then Texas. And I think they're just on fire at this point. And they go to Tennessee, get a win, and then to Arkansas to end the year and get a win at 11-1.
Yeah, I am 10-2. Obviously, I think this team could go 8-4 to 12-0. Jordan Seaton, tackle, transfers in from Colorado. He was like Prime's like most coveted recruit outside of the guys he brought with him. He was a top recruit. He was the top tackle in the portal. So I think that's big. Sam Levitt is my question mark, man. I saw him do wonders that first year I guess I've seen Sam Levitt a lot. I saw him play terribly again when he was at Michigan State. And then he transfers to Arizona State and he played pretty good. The first year obviously takes him to the playoff, but they rely heavily on Scatabo and the running game there. And then the next year, there's like a lack and absentee of a running game, and he can't stay healthy. And he was like the odds-on favorite behind Arch to win the Heisman going into the season. And there was all this hype around Arizona State football last year, and it crashed and burned.
Mm-hmm.
And now he just goes to another hype train, and I don't know. I think Sam Levitt can be good. Obviously, there's all the tools there. Everybody's in love with him, whatever. Man, I think that this team could crash and burn really quick, too, based on the result of week 3. If week 3 is a bloodbath, a bludgeoning, an FU to Lane Kiffin from Ole Miss, I think this team slides and they go 8-4.
God, that'd be juicy.
If that team goes there and finds a way to win that game in Oxford, I don't know that they lose a game. The two I have them losing, obviously, at Oxford, at Ole Miss, and then I have them losing at home late to Texas. Baton Rouge to Austin is not a very far trip. If you've ever seen a map.
Once or twice.
Yeah. What do you think that is? A 45-minute flight?
Oh, God. Barely.
Yeah. I mean, it's close, right? And so you know, like, even though it's at LSU, there's going to be Texas fans. I know it's going to be a night game. Probably going to be raining. I don't know. You know, at that point, then it's just like pick the quarterback you like most. And that's kind of what I did. I rocked with Arch.
Love that.
You know, so again, man, it makes me excited. There's some tough games on this schedule, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm wearing an LSU hat, pay money to go to the institution. I hope they do well. It'd be cool. Part of me hopes they don't as well.
The drama factory that I would like to see is absolutely that this is a train wreck. It would be hilarious. And then also Ole Miss has a great year. It's like everything I want in life. It's poetic. and would be perfect. All right, and in the ending the trip through the SEC for me, we haven't mentioned them. It's the Georgia Bulldogs. Death, taxes, and Georgia in the SEC championship game. That's kind of what it's been of late. Their offense is boring. It's boring AF. Their defense is always great. Last year, they allowed 14 points or fewer like 8 times, despite having a heavy rotation of freshmen and sophomores. The defense this year is going to be even better. It's just going to be elite. The biggest question is if they can find, in my opinion, explosiveness on offense. They are a boring team to watch play football, but they are methodical and they are tough and they're well coached and they usually don't beat themselves. I've got them going 11-1 just because they, for some reason, cannot get over the Bama hump in the regular season. Schedule sets up fairly well for them as well. Tennessee State, Western Kentucky, obviously wins. They beat Arkansas on the road, host Oklahoma and Vanderbilt. They win both those. They go to Bama and lose. Then they host Auburn, neutral site, Florida, the world's largest cocktail party. Then they go to Ole Miss, host Missouri, to South Carolina, and then end the year with a rivalry game against Georgia Tech. 11-1. Could be 12-0. Should be 12-0. I hung the loss on them just because they, for some reason, can't seem to figure it out. Like in the regular season against Alabama. They just can't. I don't know what their problem is. So.
No, I love it. I got them third alphabetically. I have them 10-2. Here's the deal. There's 15 returning starters on that team. 6 on O, 8 on D, and a kicker. You're giving me Kirby Smart with 8 returning starters on defense. And then the 3 guys that aren't are 3 of the highest rated guys in the portal on defense. 2 safeties, Khalil Barnes, Jamarly Riddle, and then a D end, Myas Williams from Auburn. Man, Gunnar Stockton's back for year 25. That's how I know we're going to have a good Georgia year. It feels like the quarterback's there for his 77th year of eligibility. Yep. Isaiah Canyon comes in from Georgia Tech, wide receiver, 6'4" kid everybody's in love with. I wouldn't be shocked if this team won the Natty and ended the drought. They got to stay healthy. You're giving me Kirby with 8 returning starters on defense and then 3 guys that have experience that he went and handpicked. They said, you fit the mold, come on in. And I know Jamar Riddle is going to be really good because he's an Ace Carolina guy. So he was skipped over. And then Kirby's like, oh, yeah, for sure. The Auburn and the Clemson kid coming in, that's good experience. But that Jamarly Riddle, I'm telling you right now, he's probably going to be a top 10 NFL pick next year. Yeah, man, I have them dropping to Oklahoma and I think Ole Miss. And again, at this point, it's really just because I do think that the top. I mean, I do. I've said it a million times. I do think that the top of this conference is going to beat the hell out of each other, and there's going to be a couple of these late games that are going to dictate who gets in and who does not get in to the playoff, especially with regards to that many 11-1 teams as you have it, this many 10-2 teams as I have it. Somebody's got to be sitting home, and we got to figure out why.
I know. You could say I'm like I can't make up my mind. You're right. I can't.
Yeah.
Like you can't. You literally can't. You've got the data points in front of you, and you look at them, and I don't know. I mean, it feels right. Oh, dude, they're just, yeah. This conference is going to be awesome. I cannot wait for it. I really cannot wait for this to all unfold. I mean, when we go back and we look at that.
You ready for the big ones per Lindy's Sports? At least one each week from this conference?
Yeah, let's fire, man.
September 5th, Clemson at LSU. That is going to be a banger of a game opening weekend. Can't wait. September 6th, Louisville at, Ole Miss at Nashville. That should be fun. That should be a test. Then we got Ohio State at Texas, Oklahoma at Michigan, September 12th. Then we get into the conference stuff. September 19th, we already know. LSU at Ole Miss. All right. September 26th, you get Oklahoma, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Florida.
And A&M LSU.
Yeah, spot the ball. Spot the ball. I'm excited. Then you get Georgia, Bama the next weekend, along with Texas, Oklahoma. Where's game day going? We don't know. One of those two. I'll put money on it right now. October 10th is, clear your schedule. TV viewership, clear your schedule. I'm going to tell you, if you got friends or family planning weddings in this part of the fall, you don't go. You don't go. Okay. Or you get Starlink or something so you make sure you can watch. October 17th, Auburn at Georgia, Alabama at Tennessee, Florida at Texas. A lot of love for Florida so far on the Lindy's thing, but incredible games. October 24th, A&M at Alabama, Ole Miss at Texas. Yep. Ole Miss at Texas could be the top two quarterbacks in the draft.
Right.
Yeah, we're getting to see it live with our eyeballs. Georgia, Florida on Halloween, the cocktail party. Back in Atlanta for the first time since 1995, Lindy says. That's going to be a lot of dogs barking. Then November 7th, Oklahoma, Florida, Bama, LSU, Georgia, Ole Miss. Okay. Texas at LSU, Ole Miss at Oklahoma the following weekend. November 21st, A&M at Oklahoma. November 27th, Texas at Texas A&M. Can't wait. This is the Friday before. We obviously have the Egg Bowl. And then to end it all, on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, give me the Iron Bowl. Come on.
It's too good.
Too good is right.
Then we sprinkle in, some Big Ten matchups.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be an ACC or a Big 12 one we want to see, but this conference and the B1G, pretty impressive, man. Pretty fun.
They set the bar.
Yes, they do.
They set the bar. Yeah.
That's why we do these first, so we don't feel crunch for time, because look at that.
Right. Yeah. Holy cats. 147.
What a pod. What a pod.
Oof. I feel like I need a cigarette.
Yeah, you probably should. I was a little tired getting on here. I'm not anymore. Back.
Sweating. Need a cigarette. Breathing heavy.
It's exciting. We're so close, too. You can taste it.
Real.
What are we actually 20 days away right now from college football kicking off? I think we are. 20 days.
Probably. We probably are. Yeah, brother. Whew. All right, what else? What else should we talk about quickly?
Sounds like tonight was a great night for JJ McCarthy at training camp. So that's good. We should always, ups and downs there. Big Gavin Bartholomew week for the Vikings. He's a tight end they drafted last year from Pitt. A lot of excitement about him this week, from the mayor is one of the guys. If you don't remember the mayor, he was the guy who hung out at the bar here in Scottsdale, brought his own skull drum, and he lives in Minnesota now just to literally pretend to be a Vikings reporter. He's got podcasts. Whatever. Your fan, it's 2026. Your fandom runs deep. Good on that guy. Yeah, dude. What else you got on the Scolders?
Yeah, it's been a kind of a ho hum week. Defense is
rolling.
But offense is getting better. I think like the most interesting nugget I've seen, like everybody's like the offense is struggling. If you're to try and glean anything off of what is coming out is it's probably like 70-30 Kyler versus JJ on who's running with the ones.
Yeah.
Whether that means anything or not, I don't know.
I don't know either.
You know, how the offense, you know, like these reporters, these mayors, whatever, they look at that and they seem to think, not think to seem. They seem to think that that is an indicator of who is going to be the starter. I think Kyler is going to be the starter, but I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I would equate that to this guy's never played with these people before, and he needs more reps playing with these people before, whereas the other guy has played with those people, so doesn't need as much time getting comfortable with them.
Yeah.
That's how I would look at it. But if you want to read into that means that he's the starter, okay.
I mean, you do you.
Yeah, do whatever. Like, I'll wait till the coach tells us, I guess.
Here you go. Here is our ultimate decider. You ready?
Yes.
This tweet is from Joe A_NFL. Looks to actually have zero ties to the NFL, just has NFL in his Twitter name. Okay. Here we go.
Smart.
The Vikings now have had 8 practices. 1 was a tie. Kyler has clearly won 2 of them. McCarthy has won 5 of them. The first 4 were narrow wins. Tonight was obvious. If the bigger, younger, higher upside player is consistently better, why in God's name isn't he the clear choice? That was in reply to Will Regatz, who is a Vikings beat writer for Bring Me the News, which I think anybody can be. I don't know. He said that's a wrap on night practice. Definitely a win for McCarthy in the QB battle. Even if he was a little shakier after a red hot start, it was encouraging to see him push the ball downfield. Kyler Murray spent more time with the first team offense, but threw 2 picks. McCarthy is making this interesting. So here we go. Vikings, here we go. JJ's taking us to the Super Bowl. What do you think of that?
Love it. I don't care who does it.
Yeah, I don't give a damn either. I just like to see it. Well, I mean, if not, I guess I can be the guy later in life. But, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I kind of agree. Like, 100% right. If it's like a tie, then you got to go with McCarthy. We've said that on here.
Mm-hmm.
They come out and think like, man, they're dead even. Okay, then we got to just roll with JJ.
Right.
Like, there's no like, what are we doing? You know. Thanks for the sweet backup, Kyler. I wish I had more tweets from JJ McCarthy's rookie year to see what everybody was saying about him and Sam Darnold. Like, was it a competition? You know, I just don't remember, and I don't want to misremember because we all love Sam so much, and now he's on Hard Knocks, hanging out with Cooper Kupp, who got to go to Travis Kelce's wedding. And
yeah. I mean, I've heard some clips of KOC saying, like, it was a competition then. Nobody gave a crap who was getting what snaps, and they weren't then, you know what I mean? Like, no one was counting snaps then. Now, you know, then reporters kind of like challenge that, and they're like, well, yeah, like it was a competition, but it was also kind of intimated that you were definitely going with Sam, and then Kyler or JJ started to push. Because he did, and he like started to flash and was starting to push, and that made people start to then say, okay, what's going to happen here? And then obviously after the Raiders game where he looked really good,
then he was hurt.
His knee needed to be surgically repaired. So
what could have been?
Who knows?
Wouldn't have had all this Sam Darnold pain.
Yeah. We would not.
That's just so crazy. So crazy. Maybe Max Brosmer can be our Tom Brady. Oh, wait, we saw that. We saw that episode play out twice last year.
No, thank you.
No good. No good. Yeah, Skull, dude. Skull to the bowl. That's I think the rest can wait till Thursday night. Well, Friday morning.
I won't be here.
Oh, okay. Well, no.
Sunday.
Yep, next Sunday then. Taking some time off.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Hey, we what did you play the soundbite you played at the beginning of the show?
I forgot what it was.
Something about winging it and
Yeah.
There's a big difference between winging it and seeing what happens. Now let's see what happens.
That's us.
that's us right there, baby.
Yeah, that's us. Yeah.
That's this pod.
All the time. Yeah. Traveling again this week. So, but now everybody knows.
Yeah, so don't be shocked when there's no Friday episode for everyone to enjoy.
And it's also not the worst thing. Gambling is rough right now.
I did give everyone a banger of a baseball bet that smoked. So you're welcome.
You're welcome. Did you bet it?
Hope so.
Bet it, folks.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. We'll table the rest for Sunday.
Amen. Back with our ACC predictions.
The Atlantic Coast, or potentially now known as the All Coast Conference.
All. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be back with that one and other shenanigans. So, yeah, appreciate everybody for being here. It's incredible. Hope you guys enjoyed that as much as we had fun doing it. I know I like to make my little picks and then hear what Ben's big football brain says about things. So that was fun.
Yeah. That's always fun. Always fun.
Good stuff. Yeah. Hope everybody has a great week. Go out there and kill it. Live your life. You only get one of these trips on this rock. So enjoy yourself. We will catch you all on next Monday. Until next time, be easy. Ben, do your thing, my man.
Appreciate y'all for listening. Be a friend, tell a friend. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, unsubscribe, subscribe again, rate 5 stars, all that fun stuff. Be good, everybody.
And whatever you do, get back to even.